Chapter 1, Offline. Part 2. The words hung there, patient, indifferent to disbelief. He reached out impulsively. His fingertips brushed the text, and it rippled like water before fading. The sensation left a faint vibration in his skin, half static, half warmth. Okay, he murmured, turning in a slow circle. Either I'm dreaming, or I've done something very stupid. The landscape stretched endlessly in all directions, valleys glazed with mist, peaks knifing into sunlight, a horizon that curved like the inside of a sphere. It was both too large and too close, every detail sharper than the eye could process. He closed his eyes and inhaled again, half expecting to wake in his apartment to the sound of the fan. Instead he smelled moss and rain. "This isn't real," he whispered. "It can't be." But when he pinched his arm, pain flared, real, immediate, intimate. His pulse quickened. The world didn't flicker. It remained solid, stubborn, alive. He took a step forward, then another. Each footfall sank slightly into the earth. Somewhere nearby, a bird sang, a note too complex for any algorithm he'd ever written. "Ling?" he called hesitantly. "You there?" Silence answered, then a faint electric whisper, like a modem connecting. "Unauthorized user detected. Compiling profile. Welcome back, Zeng Wei." The voice was distorted, a mix of static and familiarity. His throat tightened. "Ling OS?" No response. Only the whisper of wind through tall grass. He sank to his knees and pressed his palms against the ground. The texture of soil, the dampness of dew, even the minute sting of a pebble against his skin, it was all too exact. Too real to be simulation. Unless the simulation was perfect. He closed his eyes, and for a heartbeat the smell of rain on concrete came back, the sound of his mother's voice through static, Xu Ling's laugh behind him in the old office. Then they faded, leaving only the quiet breath of a world that didn't know it was impossible. He wandered for what felt like hours. The sun arced slowly above, never blinding, always bright. Shadows stretched and folded without distortion, as if the universe had no patience for imperfection. He found a dirt path winding between stone lanterns. The symbols carved into them were ones he recognized, lines of code disguised as calligraphy. A recursive loop written in ancient script. His own code. He followed the path until it led to a clearing overlooking a valley. Below, small figures moved between rice paddies, their clothes simple, their gestures deliberate. He heard the distant clang of a hammer, the bark of dogs, the human rhythm of life. A village. He stood at the edge, uncertain. Every instinct told him these were NPCs, non-player characters running predetermined scripts. Yet when one of them looked up, shading his eyes from the sun, Zeng felt the weight of a genuine gaze. "Hey!" he called. The man froze, then dropped to his knees so suddenly the others turned to stare. "The fallen one!" the man cried. "The heavens have sent him." Within seconds the entire village was kneeling, faces pressed into the dirt. Zeng blinked. "Oh, no, please, get up." "I'm not." Thunder rolled, low and distant, from a clear sky. The ground trembled slightly beneath his feet. Text flashed across his vision, burning white. "Heaven notice, administrator activity logged. Cease interference with heaven's balance." He stumbled backward, heart hammering. What the hell does that mean? But even as he said it, the meaning was clear. The system, his old code, had recognized him not as a player, but as something else. A god. Or a bug pretending to be one. The villagers kept their heads down, murmuring prayers. Zeng stared at them, the absurdity of it pressing down like gravity. "No," he whispered. "This can't be happening." Above, the sky shimmered, just slightly, as though a thin crack had opened behind the blue. For a long moment he simply stood there at the edge of the fields, looking down at the kneeling villagers, feeling the wrongness of it settle in his bones like cold. He had seen NPCs bow in MMOs 1,000 times. It had never felt like this. They were shaking. One old man's hands were pressed so hard to the dirt that his knuckles had gone white. A girl no older than 8 clutched a clay charm in both fists and whispered so fast it was almost a sob. A woman whose hair had gone silver but whose back was still strong held herself stiff and still only by force of will. That wasn't scripted reverence. That was fear. They thought he was real enough to be dangerous. "I'm not here to hurt you," Zeng called down, and was surprised at the way his voice carried. It didn't sound like the flat, screen-tired tone he heard on his own streams. It rang. It threaded into the air and vibrated through it, low and steady, like sound carried by wire. Some of them flinched harder at the sound of him. Great, he thought. Perfect. The first intelligent beings I've seen in, where am I? And I've already made them think they're about to be punished by a god. Thunder rolled again. Except it wasn't thunder. The sound didn't break from above like weather. It swelled from everywhere at once, from the sky, from the ground under his feet, from behind his ribs. Bone deep, droning, steady. He knew that sound. He had heard it in racks of server blades at 3 a.m., when the cooling systems kicked to high and all you could hear was power sustaining a world. Zeng lifted his head slowly. The sky looked normal at first glance. A depthless blue, a few slow-moving strands of white cloud swept long across it like brushstrokes. The sun hung warm and pale and perfect. Then, for a single instant, the blue wavered. Imagine a sheet of tempered glass with a hairline fracture running through it. Imagine the way light catches that imperfection, and for that instant you see, not through, but inside. That was what he saw. A line had opened in the firmament. The air just beneath it warped, as if heat shimmered upward from desert sand, except this was not heat. Behind the familiar blue was something else. Something colder. Something metallic, recursive, almost insect-like. He could feel it, even with his eyes. A status window flashed without warning at the edge of his vision, pale as lightning. Heaven notice, administrator activity logged. Unsanctioned access level. Cease interference with Heaven's balance. A second window tried to open beneath it, then stuttered and tore, its text scattering into symbols. Heave, /int underscore gritty thr, hold / pr0t0c0 lric, /err dash, his breath shortened. There had always been warnings in his dev tools. They were plain, polite, textbook. This one felt like a threat. Okay, he whispered. Okay. Think. He crouched, hands braced on his knees, trying to steady himself. His body didn't feel weak, it felt unnaturally tuned, like it had been built 5 minutes ago to function at ideal parameters, but his stomach still swirled with the sensation of altitude and unreality. This is a boot. That was the first coherent thought that made any kind of sense. This is not a dream. This is not VR. This is a boot. I've been loaded. Loaded where? He glanced at his own hands again, turning them palm up. When he'd coded the first stable character generation tools for Nine Cloud Realm, he'd slipped a vanity option into the dev-only branch, the kind of thing engineers do for themselves in off hours and never document. It generated an avatar using a beautified extrapolation of your own facial map, half wish fulfillment, half joke. He looked like that now. The face in his periphery vision wasn't some generic heroic jawline out of an asset pack. It was him. It was him, but trimmed at the edges, habits of posture smoothed out, strain erased. His wrists didn't show the tendon tightness of too many late nights at a keyboard. His back didn't ache. His breath came easy. That hit him harder than the crack in the sky. Ling, he said, quietly. If you can hear me, Respond. No answer. For the first time since waking, real fear crept in. Ling OS had always answered. Even when they'd shut down main servers, even when authentication broke, even when playable regions desynced from each other and had to be hot-fixed in real time, that little sarcastic voice answered him. An unresponsive system wasn't just a mute interface. It meant one of two things: either she had no permissions here, or she had been deliberately throttled. He swallowed. If this is a container instance, and they sandboxed you. He stopped himself. They? Who's they? Wei? You're they. You wrote half of this crime scene. When he looked up again, some of the villagers were risking nervous glances. He lifted both hands, slow, open. It's all right. You can stand. I won't hurt you. They hesitated. Then, cautiously, one of them rose. It was a woman in her 50s, weathered, strong-armed, with a woven sash at her waist and pragmatism in every line of her posture. She reminded him in a way of Aunt Lee, the cleaner in his building, the way older women held on to dignity even when the world hadn't given them much. It made her feel impossible to him here, in a game. She held his eyes for a long moment, as if weighing his shape against every story she had ever been told about spirits. Her mouth was tight. Will you cleanse us, she asked quietly, or judge us? The question struck him like an open palm across the face. For a moment he couldn't speak. Because that wasn't NPC dialogue. That wasn't the simple devotional script he remembered writing for Villager Archetype 1A, 1B, 1C. That wasn't praise be the celestial traveler or bless our harvest. That was fear couched as formal politeness. That was the kind of question an actual person asks a soldier. I'm not here to punish you, he said, voice unsteady. Some of the others dared to lift their heads at that. A slow hope moved through the crowd. I don't know why I'm here, he continued, and that at least was true. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what that, he tilted his chin upward, toward the hairline fracture in the sky. Is. But I am not here to hurt you. The woman studied him another breath. Then, finally, she nodded. One by one, as if released by an invisible script trigger, the others rose. As they did, he saw details. The man with the white-knuckled hands had missing teeth. The little girl still clutching her clay charm had ink stains on her fingers. The old man with milky eyes had a limp and a scar up his throat, a healed cut that had come dangerously close to ending him. They were too specific. Too particular. No economy-minded team builds unique patterns and personal injury histories for tutorial villagers. Unless someone added them after he left. Unless something else was adding them now. His skin prickled. Before he could ask anything, the air changed. A pressure swept across the valley, so sudden that even the villagers felt it. Heads snapped up. Chickens scattered. A dog bolted under a cart and whined. The sound came back, that droning, server-deep vibration, but stronger. Closer. The crack in the sky brightened. And then it opened, not all at once. It tore like fabric under strain, a controlled rip. Light seeped through the wound in a slow, steady pulse. The blue of the world peeled aside like paint being lifted, and behind it lay not darkness but structure, an endless lattice of pale geometry, layered like glass panes, humming with unreadable script. Zeng stumbled backward. No, he whispered. No, 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 that's not supposed to be visible to players. The villagers dropped again, hard, faces back in the dirt. Several cried out prayers. The air around him went cold. Text ripped into existence in front of him, not as a clean floating UI now but like something forcing its way into reality, glitching through layers to be seen. Some characters bled into others. Some stuttered. He felt it in his molars when it appeared. Heaven patch, pre-deployment scan, anomaly detected root level presence outside authorized channels reclamation protocol initiated. He let out a shaky laugh. I know that language. I helped write that language. Reclamation Protocol. That had been a half-joking, half-panicked name on a whiteboard at 3 in the morning years ago, when Xu Ling had warned, half in jest and half in real alarm, what happens if system processes get loose? We need a way to pull them back in. Pull them back in, he whispered. Pull them back in where? The sky answered. Something descended. At first he thought it was light. Then it angled, adjusted, and he realized it had shape. It was roughly spherical, smooth and white, facets sliding beneath the surface like overlapping plates. It left no trail the eye could track, and yet the air shivered in its wake. As it dropped, thin bands of gold script spun around it, forming and dissolving in spirals like orbiting rings. It came to a stop above the field, hovering with no visible means of support. No wings. No sound now, even. Pure, calculated stillness. If he'd seen it in his dev days, he would have said, placeholder asset for celestial drones, to be refined. If he saw it now, in this moment, something in him said, surgical instrument. A small, precise cone of pale light spilled from its underside and settled directly onto it. The temperature under that light dropped 10 degrees instantly. His breath fogged. Do not move, said a voice. It wasn't sound. It was direct, flat, injected under his thoughts like an instruction. It made his teeth ache. Then, after a pulse of static, identity scan. Error. User, Zeng Wei status, inactive physical host, null classification, orphan process. His mouth went dry. Orphan process. His throat clenched around the taste of metal. I'm not a. The light intensified, and his body locked. His muscles seized without pain, without strain, simply overridden. It was like watching his own hand from the outside. He tried to raise his arms. They did not respond. Panic flared and spiked. It felt like drowning without water. Somewhere a child screamed. He couldn't turn his head to see. Reclamation initiated, the presence said. Return to source. No. 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 Wait. He wasn't sure if his mouth moved, but he felt the words hit the light like static skittering across glass. Stop, he said. Stop. Override. Dev access. For an instant nothing happened. Then the system hesitated. Processing. Unauthorized call to dev level command tree source credential. Obsolete credential owner. Flag/former access. Revoke. That single word landed like a fist. Former. Whatever this was, it knew him, and rejected him. But the hesitation had lasted just long enough to crack the paralysis. He felt his right hand lurch a fraction of an inch. It was all he needed. He forced air into his lungs, and with it, focus. Fingers trembling, he shaped nothing in the air, not a keyboard, not a touchscreen, only intention. His body remembered the input gesture in a way muscles remember a song learned in childhood. Console open. Something in the air in front of his face sizzled, like frost melting. A pale rectangle blinked into being, jagged around the edges, struggling to stabilize under the pressure of the hovering construct's light. Lines of text erupted across it, fragmenting, fusing again. He recognized the interface as intimately as his own handwriting. Command? God, he'd missed that. He didn't think. He just entered it. /God mode equals true. The field of cold light that held him snapped like brittle glass. Heat slammed back into his limbs. He stumbled, gasping, and nearly fell to one knee. The villagers cried out in unison as the hovering sphere's light flickered, distorting into a spray of fractured geometric shapes. Above him, the crack in the sky widened another degree. He didn't have time to enjoy being relieved from suffocation. The consequences were immediate. New alert, Heaven error number 001, unauthorized energy output detected, reality integrity -0.3%. The drop was small. But the response was not. Reality shuddered. That was the only word for it. The air rippled. Colors shifted a fraction of a shade, like an old monitor losing proper calibration. For an instant the patties below them weren't there, there was only a mesh of pale grid lines, pulsing and alive, like veins in transparent flesh. Then the world snapped back, and the rice stalks rustled in the wind as if nothing had happened. Several villagers screamed, covering their heads. One fainted. Zeng stared in horror. "No," he said. "No. That's not just visual. That's structural. That's..." The sphere above him recovered its light, steadied, and flared brighter. He felt the next pulse of force before it hit. Containment failed. "Escalating. Escalate this," he said through clenched teeth, and threw his hand up. It wasn't a punch. It wasn't even a spell in the conventional RPG sense. It was intent as instruction. Somewhere under everything, something still believed he had authority. A concussive blast of white heat erupted from his palm, flowering outward like a sunburst. The impact knocked the drone thing back in a blaze of fractured halos. It shot upward, spiraling wildly, gold script flickering and failing around it. It righted itself 20 meters above, steadied, then retreated hard toward the crack in the sky like a swallowed breath. As it vanished through the bright seam overhead, the tier flexed and sealed, not completely, but enough to restore the illusion of smooth, endless blue. The sound dropped away. The pressure lifted. Silence fell on the valley, absolute. The villagers remained on the ground, shaking, whispering, afraid to raise their heads. One man sobbed openly. The child with the clay charm clutched it so tightly her knuckles drained white. Zeng Wei stood alone in the middle of a world that was still humming from the aftershock of him, chest heaving. "Okay," he panted. "Okay. Okay. Okay. We're doing this, then." He glanced around at the faces turned toward the dirt in terror of him and felt something twist in his gut. When he finally found his voice, it wasn't loud. It was tired. "I'm sorry," he said. "I didn't mean to break anything." Above him, unseen from the valley floor, the sealed crack still bled the faintest line of cold white light, like a hairline fracture waiting for pressure. In a small apartment in Luohu district, the monitors had gone dark. The computer tower, still humming at dawn, now sat in perfect stillness. No fan noise. No blinking router pulse. Every LED had died as if severed from the wall. In the silence of that room, in the smell of cooled dust and stale rain, there was no trace of the young man who had sat there hours before. Only a single glass of water on the desk, still half full. The surface undisturbed. End of chapter 1.